So, Deadpool and Wolverine. I saw it opening weekend, and of course, I had to draw some fan art for it. So, let's just get right into the time lapse. After seeing the movie, I immediately knew that I wanted to make some Poolverine / Deadclaws fan art. I've low-key become obsessed with them, and they now live in my head rent-free, and they're probably one of the only things that I'll be talking about for the next few weeks. I just love their dynamics so much, and I wanted to really capture that in this piece. I didn't immediately have any ideas for the drawing, but after a quick scroll on Pinterest, I found some great inspiration. It started with finding a dynamic perspective pose, and then I saw a pose of someone with a corded telephone. Both of these poses combined led to a burst of inspiration. I thought it'd be fun to have some sort of dynamic and foreshortened posing, and I loved the idea of Wolverine and Deadpool using phones that were directly connected to one another with their cords. It might not be realistic in terms of the technology, but it was a fun concept that I just couldn't let go of. I decided to go with my initial sketch for this piece, although I did try playing around with other poses. I thought it'd make more sense for Deadpool to be underneath Wolverine, but I just couldn't come up with a composition that I liked more than the first one that I came up with. The perspective is dynamic, the poses are fun, and it just felt like a very Deadpool illustration, like if it were the cover of one of his comics. When finalizing this composition, I ended up using Clip Studio's built-in 3D models. I wanted to get the perspective and proportions just right, so this definitely came in handy for this piece. But, oh my god, were they such a pain to use! Normally I use the software Design Doll to help with pose references, but I decided to try out what Clip Studio already had so I could edit the models within the file as I went along. But Clip Studio made them so difficult to work with. It took way longer than it should have just to simply move Deadpool's arms into the right spot, but in the end, I eventually got the models positioned in a way that I was happy with. I was initially worried that by using the models, the energy from my original sketch would be lost, but it actually ended up looking way better. The proportions and foreshortening became more accurate, and I also decided not to follow the models one-to-one in terms of the arm positioning. Even though the way I changed them didn't make sense logically, as an illustration, they work better. Sometimes you gotta throw some logic and realism out the window in order to achieve the right look. Now I want to do a kind of spoiler-free review for the movie and just talk a bit about my thoughts on it, which, TLDR, I loved the movie. I really want to see it again, though I might have to wait until it's streaming in order to do so. Deadpool and Wolverine was just so much fun. The humor was so good, and I love the ways that Deadpool and Wolverine interacted. They're just so silly and one of my favorite ships of the year, along with Loki and Mobius. Okay, as I was editing this video, I realized that I thought that Loki Season 2 aired this year, but it actually aired at the end of last year. Lokius has just kind of been living in my head rent-free, I guess. So, yeah, I just got a little bit confused there. I still love them though. Speaking of, and this isn't a spoiler or anything, but I'm very sad that Mobius wasn't in the movie. We all knew that this would be the case, but man, I miss him, and I need him and Loki back ASAP. Anyways, the cameos that did happen in the movie were a lot of fun. They made me kind of want to watch some of the pre-MCU Marvel movies, as well as Logan, since I haven't actually seen a lot of them. Looking back on it now, the plot of the movie wasn't even the star. I was much more focused and entertained by the humor and the way all the characters interacted, which isn't a bad thing by any means. It was just so much fun, and might even be more fun than Deadpool 2. It's definitely fan servicey, but sometimes that's what makes a great movie, like with Spider-Man No Way Home. Deadpool and Wolverine is probably my favorite in the trilogy, especially since it introduced me to the very lovely Poolverine ship. As of making this video, my whole Twitter feed is filled with just Poolverine. I'm low-key obsessed with them, and the algorithm knows it. Also, the opening credits were some of the best I've ever seen. It was fantastic, and NSYNC's Bye 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 was definitely a staple song that I listened to while working on this piece. I found myself listening to primarily 2000s and 2010s pop, which made me realize just how fitting these kinds of songs are for the Poolverine ship. There's just something about them that makes me think, yes, Deadpool would absolutely listen to these or sing them with Wolverine in mind. He's just so goofy, and throughout the movie he does nothing but flirt with Wolverine, albeit jokingly, but we all know he's definitely being serious the whole time. Also, the car scene. If you know, you know. Felt like I was interrupting something. And it's so funny to see people who swore up and down that they wouldn't see this movie, and they actually end up watching it just for that part. Going back to the artwork, I decided to go with a cel-shaded look for the rendering. I liked the comic booky feel that I got from the composition, so I lightly referenced some pieces done for the covers of the Deadpool comics and just see what they did for the rendering. Although I didn't completely recreate that look, nor was I really trying to do a one-to-one, I do think that the influence is obviously there. I softened the cel shading a little bit by using the airbrush to erase the edges, which is something I noticed in a few of my references. It creates a blended look while still leaving a very clear divide between the light and shadows. enjoying how this piece looks so far, as well as some of the other artworks that I've done, and you want something similar, consider commissioning me. The whole process has been made very easy thanks to VGen, which is the site that I'm using to host my commissions. No account is required to begin or even finish the commission process. Just click the link down below or head to vgen.co/froggyjoestar to commission me. Now, it's time for the final reveal. This piece was so much fun to illustrate. I definitely want to draw more Poolverine in the future. I just love these silly little guys so much. Let me know what you think of this piece in the comments below. If you've made it this far, consider leaving a like and subscribing with notifications on so you don't miss the next video.